So it can save a lot of the amount of code that we used to write using anonymous inner classes. It can be much less using lambdas. And another thing to remember, it's the focus is on function, so it's more going towards functional programming, and lambdas are basically anonymous functions, and it's implementing the abstract method from an interface, which will become a little more clear when we go to the next topic, which is functional interface. So this is another cool feature which came with Java 8. So functional interface, what it is, it's an interface, but there is one rule. Then the extra rule is a functional interface can have just one abstract method, and that's it. It can have only one abstract method declared in it. However, it can have one or more default methods that we talked about earlier, and default methods, of course, are fully implemented methods in an interface. Another interesting thing is this functional interface annotation. If you use this annotation, then this will ensure that your interface has only one abstract method. Now, to relate lambdas with functional interface, lambda expression can be implicitly assigned to a functional interface. I will illustrate this with an example, but what it means is basically you can say functional interface and you can assign a lambda to it, and you'll see that the lambda expression actually implements the abstract method in the functional interface. So let's go back to Eclipse so that I can illustrate this with an example. So what I have here is a calculator functional interface, and as you can see, it has just one abstract method. That's the rule. A functional interface can have only one abstract method. I have more methods here, but these are implemented default methods. Let's see what happens if we try to if you try to add one more abstract method, and if you call it calculate2, see, the compiler will throw an error. It says that because we are using this functional interface annotation, so it's forcing us to have only one abstract method. So I'll get rid of this one. So keep in mind, this interface now has only one abstract method, calculate. So what I did in my test is, again, it's an interface, so you could implement this with so I'm implementing this with an anonymous inner class, the way we would have done it before Java 8 in the pre-Lambda days. So you'll have an anonymous inner class, and in that you could implement the calculate method. You could call one of the default interface methods from here, return sum a, b. So this will simply add the two numbers a and b. However, now we have a much shorter way of doing this with much less code. As you can see, we can assign a lambda to this calculator interface. So what's happening here is this lambda is actually implementing the abstract method calculate, which is there in the functional interface. Because if you recall, this is nothing but a function. This is a function. This is an anonymous function. That's what a lambda is. It's an anonymous function which is written and used in the same place. So we are writing it and using it in the same place. That's why there is no separate declaration, and that's why it makes it much less verbose. So of course, because it's implementing this calculate abstract method, so it has to have two parameters because the calculate method has two parameters. So let's see what will happen if I try to remove one of the parameter. See, the compiler is now throwing an error. It's saying that the signature does not match the functional interface abstract method signature, because we need to have two parameters. So I'll change this to B. And so this is the implementation of the method. It's very simple implementation. It's simply adding the two parameters a and b, a plus b, and simply returns that. But as you can see, in the next line here, so you can easily replace the implementation with anything you want. So instead of doing a plus b, you could do a times b, and then you can call it a product calculator. So see how with different lambdas, you could have different implementation of the same functional interface. So let me save this, and I will try to execute this code again. So if you notice, so this first 11 was the sum implemented by the anonymous inner class. The second 11 is coming from this lambda expression a plus b. So it's doing a sum. So it's adding 5 and 6, and it's printing 11, returning 11 and printing that. And this 30 is coming from the product calculator, which is yet another different implementation of the same functional interface using a different implementation. So it's printing a times b, which is 5 times 6, 30, and that's so that we got that result 30. So that was in a nutshell some discussion. I tried to explain a little bit about regarding lambdas and functional interfaces in Java. I think these are some real cool features which can make a lot of difference in Java 8, and I'm sure there will be big time use of these new features which have been added in Java 8. I hope you like the presentation, and thank you for joining me. All right.